Welcome to Amal's Crazy Car Lot, where we have a car for every person. Good credit, bad credit, doesn't matter. Felon, doesn't matter. In prison, doesn't matter. Here we have nice Toyota Lexus, has Sony guts, very good, low mileage. As you can see, paint is wonderful, just needs a little bit of buffing. Nothing wrong with this car. Moving on. You like sports cars, I like sports cars. You need more pussy in your life. You definitely want this car. This car is a pussy magnet. It has pop-up headlights and it calls to the pussy to come to you. Moving down the line, you want Japanese. I like Japanese. Japanese, Chinese, look at these. We've got two Japanese burners here. We've got a 3000 GT. We've got a 300 ZX. We've got a 3000 GT. Put them together, $3,300. I will sell you both for $3,300. Moving on down the line. Who wants a Grand Prix? Named after a famous race. Grand Prix, wonderful car. Paint, perfect, no hail damage. Look. All it is, bend that into place, car will be perfect. You have a family, you want a family, you want pussy to make a family. This is the car for you. GMC Terrain, okay? It has GM Chevy guts, perfect car, very, very fast, has a V8, unbelievable, great car for you. This is Amal, and thank you for watching. Give me a call at 888-588-6211. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Kurt Winters channel. In this video today, we're going to be going over the fleet of all my cars so you can figure out exactly what's going on with each one of them. Plus, if you've ever watched the show Hee Haw, this is definitely the video for you. Now, you may ask yourself, why do I have 6 cars and a motorcycle? Why am I constantly running around searching for parts and trying to get these hoopties in a running and driving order? Well, I work on these hoopties and I keep them going for you, the fans. I had these cars and I want to share them with YouTube and especially you, the subscriber, because it's important to know what goes into collecting cars on a budget and exactly some of the costs and pitfalls that can go into keeping a fleet of vintage autos. All right, so our first car is my 1998 Lexus ES 300. This car has 176,000 miles on it. Lexus at this time was making wonderful cars. This is a great example. Now, this car was originally my daily driver up until about 2.5 years ago. You'll notice the aftermarket wheels. We moved up to 16s. This car has some pretty severe clear coat that's going on top, and it was also unfortunately in a pretty bad hailstorm lately. Now, the interior, if we take a look, is what really originally drew me to the car. When I bought the car, it had barely 60,000 miles on it. So I've put a lot of time in this driver's seat. They're very, very comfortable cars. This car has never left me stranded. And really, in my opinion, the late to early 2000s were the golden age of Toyota and Lexus. Definitely you can't go wrong with a Toyota product. Now, as far as what is wrong with it, the suspension on all 4 corners, which were originally McPherson struts, those are completely gone. What else is wrong with it is we do have an oil leak coming from the front of the engine. It's been going on for about 2 years. I keep an eye on the oil level. Haven't had any real big issues with it. But overall, a great car, and we love having it in the fleet. All right, so up next, we have my 1994 Chevrolet Corvette base model with an automatic transmission. This car has about 87,000 miles on it, and it comes in a beautiful competition yellow. Love the paint on this car. I've had this car for about 2 years. Some of the recent things that we've had to do to it, aligning the front end, putting new shims in it, and also putting some brand new Continental Extreme Sports on the front. Luckily, we did get the whole front end sorted out, and it is running and driving great right now. As far as what's wrong with it, it does have a slight oil leak from the back of the engine. Let's go take a look at the interior of this car. It does wear its original paint and the original interior. It has the classic GM sticky plastic going on everywhere, which if you look in the description link below, I've linked a product that I use, which is great on the interior plastic to get rid of that sticky feeling. The car is very, very comfortable. There's a lot of room. The hatch opens up. Of course, it does have that iconic LT1 V8. We do know that LT1 is second to none. Oh, you're still here. Well, if you're still watching the video, I want you to go ahead and push that sub button up at the top and click that notification bell so you can be notified of the newest uploads to this channel. Now let's get back to the fun. Okay, so up next we have my 1995 Mitsubishi 3000 GT SL, which is the front-wheel drive luxury version of this car. They did make a step above it, which was the VR4 all-wheel drive twin turbo, but if you've been watching this channel for a little bit, you do know that I have a saying: no turbo, no problems. That's what we say down by the beach. She's also wearing her original paint, which might be a little shocking because this car has almost 180,000 miles on it. I bought this car for less than $4,000. Now, it didn't look like this when I first bought it, but let's go take a look at this Starship mileage Mitsubishi 3000 GT. Now, this car had been driven really hard when I first bought it. The suspension all the way around was shot, so we went back to original suspension. We also changed from the 16-inch wheel up to an 18-inch 10-spoke with our Nitto tires. Now, one of the things when I first got this car that we knew we had to change was the seats. The seats were completely clapped out. When you sat in the car, your ass would go all the way down to the bottom. So we chose to kind of go over the top and choose an Arctic white kit to completely rebuild the seats. We were really worried that putting white seats with a charcoal interior might look silly, but you can see that it came out well, and we are super happy with how the seats came out. Now, I did want to show you one modification to this car that I get the most hate on. If we come down here low, you can see we've got a light bar. Now, when I purchased this car, the OEM fog lights were missing. And before I decided to outsource a used pair on eBay, I chose to kind of go over the top. My theme for this car is called The Slow and the Curious. And with that in mind, anything I wanted to do to the car, whether it was stupid white seats or a light bar, I went ahead and did it. I didn't care. It was, let's just do whatever we want. So what we've got here is an 18,000 lumen double stacked Prix light bar. Our switch is actually mounted in the engine bay, so you can't flash people when you get pissed off on the highway. It's got two modes. It's got an off-road night mode, which obviously you cannot use on the highway, but it also has a really cool day runner mode. As far as what's wrong with the car, we do have a major power steering leak from the front. So I'm gonna get that over to Angry Paul at Wireworks Performance. We'll call him the grumpy mechanic from here on out to help us get that sorted out. All right, so up next, we've got my 1993 Nissan 300ZX convertible. Bought this car in Arizona, pulled it back on a trailer. What's cool about the convertibles, they made less than 3,000 for the entire world, so it's got relatively low production numbers. This car is a blast to drive. It also has a 3-liter V6. As far as what I've had to deal with since owning this car is we did have catastrophic vapor lock, which then prompted me to do a $6,000 engine out. Now, I only paid $6,800 for this car, so I don't know what idiot would spend $6,000 on a car that's barely even worth that, but you're looking at them. This car, to me, is one of the most beautiful cars from the 1990s. You've got your Supras, which are big and meaty and strong. I love the NSX, don't get me wrong, but just look at the front of this car. This car is gorgeous and it is a blast to drive. One thing that you're gonna notice, you've got inset projector head beams. Of course, if you don't already know, the second generation Diablo used these headlights. So if you look at a Lamborghini Diablo, once they moved away from pop-up, they actually used these headlights under license from Nissan. And all they did is they put a piece of carbon fiber right here to cover up the word Nissan. So if the camera comes in close, you can see all Lamborghini did was put a piece of carbon fiber right across the top to cover up the word Japan and Nissan. Now, as far as what's wrong with this car, it's very little. Tachometer's broken, speedometer's broken, e-brake acts a little funny. Other than that, she does wear her original paint, and we do have some sagging of the front suspension. So up next, we've got my 2007 Pontiac Grand Prix, which is wearing a liquid silver metallic. This was my daily driver for a long time, and I actually taught my wife how to drive in this car. So it's kind of amazing that it's still in one piece. Now, this car has 180,000 miles on it. Let's go take a look at this one. This car was built in Canada, and I gotta say that as far as GM products go, these cars, these Pontiacs, they are good build quality. Everything on this car works. AC, speedometer, tachometer, all the windows work. As far as what's wrong with it, it's leaking coolant, it's leaking oil, and the power steering pump is starting to grind and make a loud noise. So I do know that there is some money that I'm gonna have to invest in her. My plan for this car is once things kind of get back to normal in our post-vaccine world, we're gonna get this one back up to specs, and this will be my wife's daily driver again. Okay, so rounding out our four-wheel friends is my 2015 GMC Terrain. Now, I purchased this car for around $11,000. It's got titanium white, and it's the entry level for the GMC SUV lineup. This car's sister car is the Chevrolet Equinox, which is also an equally good car. Now, what's wrong with this car? Absolutely nothing. This car runs great. It's got a Ecotec 4-cylinder in it. I get great gas mileage, and right now it is my wife's daily driver. Now, the plan for this car is it'll become my daily driver once we transition her back into the Grand Prix. But I wanted to show you the interior, and what you want to kind of keep in mind is the GMC brand has kind of morphed into the luxury truck brand of GM. And what I mean by that is, although this does have cloth seats, it's got a nice leather wrapped steering wheel, it's got Bluetooth, it's got a backup camera, it also has the stitched faux leather interior. There's plenty of room when you're getting in and out of this car. The seats are very comfortable. It also has an eco mode, which I like, and it's an all-around, it is a really good SUV. If you're shopping for SUVs, you can't go wrong with a GMC product. Let's move on to my motorcycle. This is a 2009 Honda 230F. The F stands for fun, and it is a trail bike. So what do I mean by trail bike? This bike was never intended to be driven on the street. However, if you take a look at it, we've got a UFO aftermarket kit, which includes a front headlight, turn signals. We've also got front controls here. And coming around back, we've got a UFO kit license plate bracket cover, along with blinkers and a full-time running brake light. Now, what I love about this thing is since the whole situation has hit and I've been working from home, I really use this thing as kind of my all-terrain scooter. That's what I like to call it. So if I need to run up to 7-Eleven, if I need to run up to the bank, any small errands, I like to take this bike. It gets about 68 mpg. 68 mpg. Now, it has no speedometer, it has no tachometer, it has no fuel gauge. It is electric start, But that's about all the amenities that you're gonna get. You've got a disc brake in the front and an old school drum brake in the back. This bike is super forgiving and I use it all the time. All right, I really want to thank you for watching this tour of the fleet. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll have more upcoming videos on these cars and everything that we work out and get corrected on them. And as the Beach Boys once said, God only knows where I'd be without you.